Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for being here. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order on April 9th, 2024, and ask our city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Guest? Present. Commissioner Henderson?
Present.
Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Bray?
Present. I'll ask Commissioner Smith to do the invocation for us, and we'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we thank you for your grace and goodness. May your face continually shine upon us so that your ways may be known in our communities. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I just want to take this opportunity to thank those who worked on doing this setup here at the Quilt Museum. Thank you for all your efforts. I know the folks from WKCTC, thank you very much, everybody, and Lindsay, Pam, everybody else that worked on it. I know it's a job to move outside of City Hall, but this is something that we started doing a couple of years ago to try to, get our meetings out in the community in hopes that more people would come. And those who would come would experience a little bit different environment. So it's great to have everybody, and thanks again for being here. City Manager, are there any deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, none this evening.
Okay, the first order of business tonight is a proclamation on Fair Housing Month. And so I'm not sure who's going to receive it. Robert, are you going to come up and receive this? Okay. We need to find a good place for a photo op behind one of these beautiful quilts. Okay, so May is Fair Housing Month, and this proclamation, actually it's April, so, but at any rate, it's a proclamation for Fair Housing Month, and so I'll go ahead and read it before I give it to you. It reads, whereas this year we commemorate the 56th anniversary of the passage of the Fair Housing Act, the landmark civil rights law that made discrimination in housing transactions unlawful. And whereas the Fair Housing Act prohibits bias based on race, religion, sex, disability, and family status, and whereas acts of housing prejudice are contradictory to a common sense of decency and fairness, and whereas Fair Housing Month provides an opportunity to reflect on progress made and to acknowledge the many challenges we have yet to overcome. And whereas the City of Paducah is committed to the mission and intent of Congress to provide fair and equal housing opportunities for all, and now therefore I, George Bray, Mayor of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, hereby proclaim April 2024 Fair Housing Month. So I'll shake your hand before I get rid of that. Shake your hand, and then let's take a photo. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Can I say something? Can I say something? Thank you, Mayor. It's another step that your administration takes to demonstrate to the whole city that we're going to honor and respect all citizens, and regardless of all those specific issues that you mentioned. The proclamation is just another message to the community that we are here to help with issues like this. And would the other members of the commission please stand? Thank you. Good job. So we're together on this, and we're going to work hard on this, and we want you to know that we're available. Y para ustedes que hablan español, podemos ayudarle con problemas con su rentar, o si quieres comprar una casa, llame a los números de la ciudad y pregunta a hablar con esta mujer, señora Johnson. Gracias.
Thank you, Robert, and thanks to all the folks who serve on the Human Rights Commission and those who are here tonight. You guys are doing a great job, and we appreciate your dedication to the community. So, okay, the next I'd like to invite Dr. Anton Reese up to do a presentation on the Community Scholarship Program. Give us an update. It's a program here in the community that a lot of us make contributions to in order to provide free education to our high school graduates. So, Dr. Reese.
Thank you so much, Mayor, City Commissioners, City Manager. Bring both greetings and, as importantly, appreciation for the continued support from the city for this remarkable partnership, as you know, that began in 2010. Under my predecessor, who's also here tonight, Dr. Barbara Veazey. So again, we really appreciate your support. I brought the All-Star cast with me this evening. A couple of introductions. Certainly want to hear from a couple of graduates of this program, because as you recall, 3 goals was to increase the high school graduation rate, boost the college going rate, but also keeping our talented, retaining talent here in our region. With that, I'm going to bring forward Andy Wilson, who will introduce himself.
I'm Andy Wilson. I'm the Vice President for Institutional Advancement. I just started in January. It's great to be a part of this organization and a part of this community, and I thank you for what all you do for higher education for this community in McCracken County. So thank you all.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Eric Straub. I'm the new chair of the Community Scholarship Program, and also just like to extend our thank you for your continued support of this amazing program. This, of course, is the program that allows us to say that any student in McCracken County starting in 8th grade who commits and excels in certain reasonable criteria can go to 2 years of college for free, which is a pretty amazing thing for us to say and be able to do, and your support has been very impactful in that, so thank you.
So hopefully you all got copies of the brochure that reflects the performance, the projections of students in the Community Scholarship Program, and we definitely will entertain questions after we wrap up with Justin Hill. Many of you, a familiar face. He worked with Dr. Stevenson really from the onset of this program, and he in turn will introduce 2 of our CSB graduates. Justin?
Thank y'all again for having us today. The first student I want to start with is Miss Moneta Drew. She has an amazing story, and I'm going to let her get to it.
All right, thank you all for having me. My name is Moneta Drew. I'm originally from Paducah. I graduated from Paducah Tillman High School in the year 2017. After that, Miss Dr. Stevenson came to high school and just talked about this big program that they had in college that started at freshman year. So every year she went through this program saying, hey, this is a good opportunity for you all. You should come join us. At the time, I didn't really know what I wanted to, what college I wanted to pursue, but I did know that I wanted to go to college. So after checking into the program, I said, I think I want to go, because the first thing that she said, it's free 2 years. So I was like, well, that sounds good, anything with free on it. So the first thing I want to say is that the free 2 year was a great financial burden because I was a teen mom. And with being a teen mom, freshly moving out of my parents' home, going to school without having to worry about the financial burdens was a huge plus. Continuing my education, they allowed me to further my education going to Murray State, and it was a smooth transition. And now I am a social worker at a local nursing home, and so I'm able to pursue my dreams of becoming a social worker. The great things that I took away from CPS is that they made an environment conducive to studying, to learning, to just any resources that we need. They were able to provide it. Whether it's materials for a project or if we needed a computer, they were able to give that, and that was very important because it was first time going to college, different environment. They were very good at helping us with those things. But one thing that I really wanted to shed light on is that their encouragement and the push and the support that we got from each individual leader at the CPS was beyond anything that I can ask for. They went beyond and beyond. They didn't just care about our school, but they care how we were doing outside, and it just really spoke volumes of how they care about our well-being as a whole. And so I just want to say thank you that I'm here. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your program. I am deeply thankful. I don't think I ever would have continued college without their support. Like I said, I was a teen mother. I didn't really know that that if I was going to make it through school, I didn't want to be another statistic, and they made sure that I was able to pursue and go further and reach my dreams. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Mayetta.
Thank you, Mayetta.
Yes, thank you. And the next student is Miss Kirsten Meadows.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kirsten Meadows, and I went to McCracken County High School. I actually graduated in 2015, so it's been a little bit. But I just wanted to talk about some of the same things, that just having that program available is so important because I had a health scare right before I graduated high school, and I don't know if I would have gone to college if I didn't have that lined up. Just having that, knowing that my tuition was taken care of, I mean, that's a really big thing. And then I was able to go on, get another degree. My first one was in business administration, and my second one was in visual communication. And now I am actually also going to be a social worker. I'm working at Murray. And it's just been, it was a really good experience. They really helped on campus. Just having somebody there that I could ask questions was really important. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any questions for us, Mayor or Commissioners?
Commissioners, any questions for Dr. Reese? I mean, it's, Dr. Reese, it's an amazing program, and, you know, I mean, it was started before I came on in office, but it's, it shows the, you know, the dedication of our community, the togetherness of our community, because we all came together, you know, to put this program on, and so, you know, seeing results like we've seen from these two, you know, makes it all worthwhile. So thank you for being here, and thank you for the update.
Thank you so much for your continued support.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good one.
So before we move into the consent agenda, couple of things. First of all, I wanted to thank the National Quilt Museum, the Board of Directors, everybody responsible for hosting us tonight. Meredith and all and team, thank you very much. We are so appreciative having the opportunity to showcase this wonderful facility, especially only a couple of weeks before Quilt Week. This is happening in Paducah, as we all know, when the quilt world descends upon us, and we thought it was a really good idea to showcase the museum. And I know that there will be more collaboration between the Quilt Museum and the Quilt Show going forward. I think that's a really good thing, but thank you very much for having us. And second thing I'll just mention, I can't really not mention the eclipse yesterday, which was far exceeded my expectations. I remember the August 2017 eclipse, and I was downtown for that eclipse. For something about this eclipse was just amazing, and the number of people that were in this community. A lot of them actually went through the museum today here, and kind of overwhelmed the staff a little bit. I think they didn't expect that, but it was quite an opportunity for all of us to showcase our community. There was a lot of people that pulled together. Beautiful Paducah put on an event downtown, a 2-day event, Sunday and Monday, and they did a great job. And I heard nothing but great things about the event. And, of course, the eclipse itself was just amazing, really an amazing life event. So, okay, with that, I'll move on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The city clerk will read the items recommended for approval, but first, I don't know if any other commissioners have an item that they would like to remove, but I have one, and that was item E, which was the declaration and sale of surplus property. I'd like to pull that off and talk about it in open session. That'd be okay. Does any commissioner have any other item they'd like to? Okay, I'll ask the city clerk to please read the items for consent.
Approve minutes for the March 26th, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting. Receive and file documents, personnel actions, a municipal order adopting the City of Paducah, Kentucky Administrative Plan for 2024 Housing Choice Voucher Program effective May 1, 2024, with said administrative plan including revisions to the utility allowances for the Section 8 housing program as required by the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as revised. A municipal order authorizing and directing the city manager to issue a request for bids for custodial services for the Parks and Recreation Department. A municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a grant application and all documents necessary to apply for the State Homeland Security Grant Program, cybersecurity grant through the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security in the amount of $45,120 for security cameras and systems for the Public Works Department.
So moved. Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. So we're going to take this one first? Take this one first, okay. So the item that I had requested to come off the consent agenda was a sale of our surplus property in the city. And the reason that I asked for it to come off was because this commission has a lot of plans to increase our housing development in Paducah. And one of the things that's been called out by a couple of commissioners, if we're going to increase housing, do we always need to sell the pieces of property that are ours? Do we need to save those and accumulate them and somehow put them together in order to make sure that we have the right kind of development? So I'm not really calling this particular situation out, but I thought it would be a good idea for us just to talk openly about perhaps how the process is, city manager, when a piece of property for surplus sale comes up, maybe you could educate on, I know Nick's here, he could talk about this particular individual situation.
So we do. We have a number of pieces of property that come into our possession, and, historically, we've looked out to best allocate those, whether they are retention for certain city projects or allocate them back out into the community to get them actively on the tax roll. And since, this instance, it was looked at by staff and recommended to actively get it back on the tax roll. And Nick, if you wouldn't mind to come forward and walk us, the commission and the community through this process, and on this one specific about Black Owl Home Builders, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission, City Manager, City Clerk. So as City Manager Jordan mentioned, we do acquire property in various ways, whether that's through foreclosure or through donation. We also have URCDA that serves as a land bank to manage these acquisitions and oversees several of the properties that we currently own. This particular property has been advertised numerous times, and we've never received a bid. Black Owl came to us and was interested in building a single-family home on the south side and identified this property as a site that would be suitable for their development, and submitted a bid for their project. So they have projected a cost of $200,000 for new construction that will be completed within 1 year, and will be a great addition to that upper town neighborhood.
Okay. So we sell this piece of property to them for $1, right? And they commit to this project.
Yep.
Approximately $200,000. And if they wouldn't go through with that, do we have any recourse? I'm not suggesting they wouldn't. I'm just trying to understand.
We do not include a reversion clause in this, this specific transaction, but if it was a deal that we thought that would be necessary, we could include that.
Okay.
The other incentive for infill construction is we do provide house plans, so they're going to be using one of the house plans the city has available to them for this construction. So it'll be compatible to the one that Midtown or Paducah Alliance of Neighbors has recently constructed on Oscar Cross.
Yeah.
It'll always be Midtown to me.
So you're suggesting, Nick, that if this property doesn't go through, that the city can't take the property back or anything like that? It's just, doesn't happen?
In this specific situation, they provided basically documentation of their financial ability to complete the project. We are confident that they will be able to complete the project, so that's why we didn't include a reverter on the deed.
Okay, thank you.
It might be a good idea to consider. I mean, I'm not questioning the decision at all, to move forward with this, but just a thought, about, kind of a standard reverter clause, to hold people's feet to the fire.
Sure.
Especially if you sell them a piece for $1.
Right.
So. Any other questions?
Just a comment. That's great that you're getting some property in someone's hand. They're going to make an investment on the south side. So thank you for that.
Okay. Any questions from anybody else? Thanks very much, Nick.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Yes, go ahead and read this one, Ashley. Sorry. Yeah.
A municipal order declaring the real property located at 815 South Fifth Street, Paducah, Kentucky, to be surplus property, accepting the bid of Donald Hollowell of Black Owl Home Builders, LLC, in the amount of $1, and authorizing the mayor to execute the deed and all documents related to same.
So move.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Guest?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. And thank you to Mr. Hollowell, the builder, for investing in Paducah. Okay, with that, we'll move, we have two municipal orders tonight. The first one is a FEMA Safer Grant, and I'll ask the city clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, a municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary to apply for an fiscal year 2023 through 2024 Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response, SAFER grant funded through the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, in the amount of $760,140 for the hiring of 3 firefighters.
Second.
Chief Kyle?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, and City Clerk. What you see before you, and we would love to see you entertain us applying for the staffing grant that would allow us to add 3 positions to our rank and file. As you heard me say in the budget retreat, and also through the feasibility study that you had presented to you a few weeks back, that we are in a position of where we're having a significant impact on our personnel due to a shortage of personnel, and that the vacation and holiday and sick leave times are all having an impact. We're working a lot of overtime. We're just seeing our overtime continuously go on a higher arc, and we're in a position now we know from the studies that we've had done we need more than that, but we're excited about the opportunity to apply for 3 to start to see what that impact might have.
Yeah, I think the city manager and I talked about this before we, brought it up and all, and I think that one of the things that resonated with all of us, after the feasibility study presentation was the amount of overtime.
Right.
So I think, at least I can only speak for myself, but my thinking was, if this would be a way, to make an impact, if we were to get the grant, and it would make an impact with that overtime, it could be a win-win
Right.
for us. So that was my thinking. So does any other commissioners have any thoughts?
I think it'd be self-funding, outside of the grant even. I just think it's a good, also relieves the personnel that are getting stressed out by having to work overtime all the time. I mean, money's good, but sometimes you can work too much, so.
Yeah, for sure, and I appreciate that insight, Commissioner and Mayor. The culture has changed from what it used to be for what I would consider my generation, and the work-life balance is much more important now than the overtime as it used to be, and the stressors of the overtime and the staffing levels and just the job that we do and the things we encounter and we see every day, we're excited about the opportunity to apply and hope that this has the start of an impact on seeing a difference there.
Okay. Well, thank you, Chief, and we're all very appreciative of all the work that your entire department does.
Thank
you
you very much. Appreciate that.
Call roll, City Clerk.
Commissioner Guest?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Gray?
Aye.
This was an introduction, huh?
No, this is a municipal order.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So the second municipal order is a grant to the Mellon Foundation on behalf of the Hotel Metropolitan, something we've been working on for quite some time, so I'll ask our city clerk to please read it.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, a municipal order supporting the Uppertown Heritage Foundation grant application to the Mellon Foundation in the amount of $1,340,000 for capital improvements and capacity building for Hotel Metropolitan, pledging matching funds, and authorizing the City of Paducah to act as the fiscal agent for said grant.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Hope, I know you've been working really hard on this. We all have been working hard on it. It's been a labor of love for a long time, so tell us about it.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Clerk. As the Mayor said, this has been a multi-step process that began a few months ago when the Mayor and Betty Dobson from Uppertown Heritage Foundation and Brent Leggs went to New York. They were asked to present to the Mellon Foundation about the Hotel Metropolitan and Purple Room and their needs in a funding request. So that was completed, and that was step one. And from that, they were asked, the Uppertown Heritage Foundation was asked to submit a concept paper.
and that was back in December. And that's basically like a 3-page outline of what the funding request is and what those funds would be used for. So that step was approved, and they came back in February and asked the foundation to submit a full proposal. And so what that full proposal is for the $1.34 million. That would include a number of capital improvements to both the Hotel Metropolitan, the Purple Room, and their landscaping outside. As you'll recall, we did have a $50,000 grant for the Purple Room. We did get some renovations done with that, but there is still a lot more to accomplish with it in order for it to become its own event gathering place facility. The Hotel Metropolitan itself is in need of a number of capital improvements, both inside and outside the building, and so that would be a big portion of this. Another part of it is capacity building for the Hotel Metropolitan to help it sustain itself long-term. Included in this grant would be hiring an executive director and a curator for the museum. There would be adding some board members, doing strategic planning with the group, doing some board training. At the end, they would also be working on fundraising and business development. In addition to that, there would also be some new components to their programming. They would be exploring and looking at new ways that they can enhance the programming for the public, making it more accessible, maybe even including some new technology with that, and really getting the Hotel Metropolitan. I mean, it's a local gym. We all know that. It's got wonderful stories to tell, and really get it in a position to where it can sustain itself long-term. Now, in addition to the grant, there is also a request for match from the city. There is a request for $250,000 for fiscal year '25. That is contingent upon a co-stewardship agreement between the city and the hotel, or the Uppertown Heritage Foundation. That would also include the city being the fiscal manager for the grant itself and helping support the foundation with managing those funds and finances. It would also include joint oversight of the programmatic activities, those things that I just described, the capacity building and the capital improvements, as a partnership between the city and the Uppertown Heritage Foundation. In addition, there is also a request for the city to pledge $250,000 the next 2 fiscal years, contingent again upon that co-stewardship agreement and the budget process for each of those years. So, with that, do y'all have any questions regarding the proposal?
Well, I'll just make some comments. I mean, I think, a lot of people, some people, I don't know how many, but a good number of people have never been to the Hotel Metropolitan and have never been through the tour, really don't understand it and don't understand what a gem it is for our community. And when we hired Brent Leggs to look at some of our historical assets, a couple of years ago, this was one that popped up, as a major priority. And through this process, we have determined that there is a big opportunity, to not only improve the hotel, but really to expand tourism around the hotel. And so when you look at the grant and you look at the Hotel Metropolitan, I think it's important for people, to get over there and really see what we have there, understand the story that we have, because it is quite something. So, I don't know, I'll be quiet and see if anybody else has any questions.
I just want to, and I believe I already understand this, want to make sure, but the goal is to get the Metropolitan Hotel up and running, and I guess to take it to the next level, to get it more where they've got not a professional board, but more people on the board, a bigger support area. But the goal is not for the city. I mean, the city should not be in the business of running a museum. So I want to, I'm for this. I just want to make sure that we're not we have to be careful because we want to be sure that that this is done so the organization is able to become sustainable and the city's not ending up running a museum or a hotel or whatever like that, because we're not really, that's not our skill set, so.
Yeah,
No, absolutely, and
I
I think
think
that's, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I think a lot of that will be spelled out in the co-stewardship agreement, just where those responsibilities lie, because you are absolutely right. The purpose is to get them self-sustained and moving toward the future.
So on the match, I'm sorry, on the match, it's, the 250,000 that for the city is on top of what they would be getting from the Mellon Foundation?
Yes, that is correct.
So that would push it up to, they would be getting about 1.5?
No, it's 2 million, because there's 250,000 for the next 2 years.
I was getting to that, David.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner. So the 250,000 is to match the grant, but then it's also
Okay,
required that
I see
we
what you're
put in 250,000 in the next 2 years to help sustain operations.
Yes, and those capital improvements will be extended out over the 3 years as well. So some of that funding would still be going toward capital improvements even in year 2 and year 3. So that's going to be spread out, so it would go towards both.
Okay, so, but the 1.2 million is actually then matched by 750,000 from the city over 3 years.
Over 3 years, yeah.
So
the
it pushes
1.3.
it up to 2 million.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
it
I didn't
does.
mean to.
No, that's okay. I was trying to get there, but part of it is the match to that grant that's required for them to get the grant. They have to have that match from the city of the 250,000.
That is, it's not a requirement of the grant, but Brent Leggs,
Right.
who designed the whole thing, has really designed this whole process around the city's co-stewardship agreement and, co-financing.
Right.
You know.
And it really matches, I mean, his priorities that he developed, that we asked him to for us on the grant for restoration, historic preservation. Let me get my S word. Historic preservation for our assets in the community, and one was Hotel Metropolitan, and this is really along the lines of what he outlined, but the Mellon Foundation is actually a bonus on top of what we were thinking we would get to help them. So it really should give a good foundation for the Hotel Metropolitan.
Yes, definitely.
And I just want to echo what I heard Commissioner Guest say. I mean, it is, when it's all said and done, if it works the way it's designed to work successfully, it would be over $2 million,
Right.
to the Hotel Metropolitan. And, but I'll make this point, in the second and third year, it's contingent upon our budget process, and it's also contingent upon the successful implementation, of that co-stewardship agreement, so that we're all staying on track together. So I do think, I don't know how to say this, but we've definitely got leverage to make sure that we are working together.
Yeah, so there puts accountability
Right.
into it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Melanie, I was going to ask, $250,000 over for 3 years. So in this matching grant, we're not necessarily required to match it at 1.3. I understand we're going to get 2 million.
Right.
But we're not required to match it at the same level that we're applying for?
Correct. The Mellon Foundation itself, as the mayor was saying, does not require the match. This would just be, this is a commitment from the city to help support.
Okay.
But the grant is actually
The foundation.
1.2 million.
1.34.
million.
1.3.
1.34, okay. That's what we get from them.
Well, I was just reading where it says, for the Hotel Metropolitan, pledging matching funds.
Right.
Yeah.
One way it may help is that commission, this isn't a grant application, and so it's not a done deal. It's not like the Mellon Foundation has already said, you've got 1.34 million that we're going to give you to this project. It's still an application process, so I think while it's not a requirement, you're looking at the competitiveness to enhance your competitiveness of this grant application by putting, for the city to saying, we support this activity on a local level, and that makes it more competitive grant application.
And I want to make one more point, too. Many of us in this room know Miss Betty Dobson, who runs the hotel and, has really brought it up to where it is today. And she's, does an amazing job over there. So one of the goals of this entire process is to support Miss Betty, you know, in what she's accomplished there, and make sure that there is a transition for the future. And because she's really been pretty much a one-man show up at this point. I hope I didn't disenfranchise anybody that's helping her, but she's the one that's very visible, you know, for the hotel. And I know there's others helping her, but, so. Any other questions, thoughts?
Great, thank
Okay,
you.
please call roll.
Thank you.
Commissioner Guest?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, we have one ordinance to adopt tonight. We read this a couple of weeks ago. I ask the city clerk to read it again.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance providing for the closure of 2,105 square feet of a 13.25-foot alley west of South 16th Street between Kentucky Avenue and Washington Street, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah does hereby authorize the closure of 2,105 square feet of a 13.25-foot alley west of South 16th Street between Kentucky Avenue and Washington Street, and authorizes, empowers, and directs the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed from the City of Paducah to the property owner in or abutting the public way to be closed, and all other necessary documents to effectuate the closure.
So moved.
Second.
This is closing the alley for the senior center, right? Does anyone have any questions? I'm sorry you had to come, but I don't think we have any questions, Melanie.
Okay, glad to be here.
It's great to have you here, too. Please call roll.
Commissioner Guest?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, we have two ordinances to introduce. I'll ask the city clerk to read the first one.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2023-06-8777, entitled, an ordinance adopting the City of Paducah, Kentucky annual operating budget for fiscal year July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. This ordinance is summarized as follows, that the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024, as adopted by ordinance number 2023-06-8777, be amended by the following reappropriations: increase revenues and expenditures for the CDBG fund by $200,000.
So moved.
Second.
Hope?
Okay. So this goes back to our community development block grant that we get on behalf of Four Rivers Recovery Center. You all authorized the municipal order to accept the grant back on February 13th. Basically, we are a pass-through for that funding. So what this allows us to do, and it complies with the requirements the state have for these CDBG funds, is to amend our budget to allow that $200,000 into our budget that we will receive for that grant, and then we will turn around and expend that money by giving it to Four Rivers Recovery Center. We take out $2,500 for an administrative fee. So $197,500 of that goes directly to Four Rivers for their Center Point Recovery Center.
Questions? Okay, thank you, Hope. Please call roll. Oh, I'm sorry, it's introduction. Okay. We have one more ordinance to introduce, and that is, well, I'll not describe it. I'll let Lindsay read it, and then we can discuss it.
A proposed motion that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 14 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends Chapter 14 of the Paducah Code of Ordinances to update language concerning proximity, maximum number, and cleanliness requirements for the keeping of fowl in Paducah. Further, this ordinance amends the penalty section to update the method by which fines are assessed and how abatement is handled. A new section is also created for the abatement procedures related to pens and coops.
It's me? Oh, I'm sorry. So moved.
Second.
So who wants to take a crack at describing this one?
I'm happy to.
Okay. Thank you, Lindsay.
So a few meetings ago, you'll remember that we had a citizen come and make public comments, and she asked that the city commission take a look at the ordinance related to fowl in the city, and because she had chickens that she was keeping and she didn't quite meet the code requirements. So after that meeting, I spoke with the mayor and the city manager, and we wanted to be responsive to that request. So we looked at 6 other Kentucky cities, Bowling Green, Elizabethtown, Covington, Hopkinsville, Lexington, and Owensboro, to see what their ordinances looked like, and compare them against our own. And we also looked at some best practices around this. And we noticed that one thing we were very strict on was our proximity requirements to residents around the person who owns the fowl. We required 300 square feet from the neighbor dwelling, and so that was a lot more than any other city required. So, but even though that was much stricter, our other regulations were a lot more lax than other cities when it comes to cleanliness and the different requirements about the maximum number of fowl that you can keep on a property. So in order to be kind of more in line, I worked with our Fire Prevention Division, Chief Kyle, Greg Cherry, and our attorney to come up with some proposed language to change that. So basically, the recommendation is a few changes. So that is taking the 300 feet requirement down to 100 feet. And that would be responsive to the citizen that came. So she would be allowed to keep her chickens and turkeys that she has. And that's still in line with other cities, what other cities do. We also recommend setting a maximum number of fowl. Most cities set that between 5 and 8 per residence. We recommend setting it at 8. And then we recommend strengthening some of our language around cleanliness and keeping coops in the rear yard so that we can control odor and pests and those kind of things to not become a nuisance to neighbors. The final thing that we are recommending be changed is something that came up while we were talking about this, is how do you abate these issues if you do have to abate them. So we have revised the penalty section. So instead of a misdemeanor and jail time, which really doesn't do anything for this type of ordinance, we have recommended a fine system. So there's notice, fine. So after 60 days, if it hasn't been remedied, then we could reach out and work through McCracken County Animal Control to get the issue abated.
Do we know what the amount of the fine?
The amount of the fine, it would be notice, then 30 days, then it would be a fine no more than $500, then another 30 days to abate, and then another fine of no more than $500, and then the city could step in and do abatement. The maximum total someone could be out of pocket over the full course of a violation would be $2,500.
So, one of the things that I discovered after this came up at a previous meeting is there was a lot of discussion. There's a lot more people that have chickens than I ever thought there was.
Chicken will come out.
And so, you know, when I heard from some of them, I was totally surprised. I mean, you know, the lady that came, Holly, she talked about how important the eggs were, you know, to help her feed her family. But you know, that's not, I mean, there's a lot of people, a good number of people that are raising chickens for eggs. And so I think that this ordinance, the way we rewrote it, and thank you, Lindsay, for all your hard work on it, but I think it kind of balances things for all of us, or at least that's what we're attempting to do with the city. And we did talk to the lady that came a few weeks ago, and she was happy with the ordinance. So,
Good, yeah.
so I think we've done all our homework and done it correctly, so.
Well, there was
I
a
think-
I'm
Go
so
ahead,
sorry.
go ahead, go ahead.
I would say there was a problem with it, and I talked to the last city planner that was responsible for doing that, and they did it so they didn't want fowl chickens. And, you know, I agree with you. I mean, people have them, so I think it's a very, very good change. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm sorry, I was just gonna say the number of people who have chickens, in my opinion, is just extraordinary.
And the
I'm glad
savings aren't chicken scratch. either.
Right.
I'm glad I went before you.
Okay, it's time to move on.
No harm, no foul.
I'm glad
Dr. Reed, he'd jump right in on it.
it started hard to stay ahead of him. Okay, that was first reading of those two ordinances. We'll come back and vote on them in a couple of weeks. I'll ask the city manager if you have any comments.
Yes, Mayor, want to take the opportunity, and as we had the proclamation earlier, want to remind the commission and our community members that we do have a upcoming Human Rights Fair Housing Luncheon on April the 18th. It will be at the Cherry Civic Center beginning at 11:30. Folks, there's still time to register if you haven't yet, and you can do so by emailing to fairhousing@paducahky.gov, and we have that information also on our website and social media, but did want to take the opportunity, as staff reminded me, to mention that tonight.
Thank you, city manager. Comments from commissioners? None?
Yesterday was a great day in our city, and Sunday too. I hate that it rained out a lot of the festivities downtown, but we had so many people from all over the country and maybe the world in
Unbelievable.
Paducah. It was amazing. It makes you see how you could become addicted to really wanting to see one again. I mean, it was just a great day. And just a reminder, I guess in 2 weeks, is it 2 weeks to the quilt show? So, we got a lot of cleaning up to do to get ready for that one, and having even more people here. So I just would encourage everybody to spruce up. And I know the Dogwood Trail has started. Our city couldn't be more beautiful right now than it is.
Great point. And, one of the thoughts I had, seeing all the traffic, the traffic was stopped out on I-24, and, traffic was crazy around here yesterday, and I thought we all talk, we want more growth, and then it kind of dawned on me, wow, if we get a lot of growth, is this the way it's going to be?
We'll build more roads.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Build more roads, okay.
Commissioner, to your point, it wasn't just downtown. I've heard from a lot of businesses throughout the community that really benefited from it all over the community.
Noble Park was full.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it was
Crazy.
beautiful. It was just great.
It was.
I had somebody, actually, I said, somebody email me from Europe this morning and said, yeah, hey, George, how was the eclipse? I didn't know how he knew that, Paducah was in the path, but. Okay, so we are going to have an executive session tonight, but we will not take action coming out. So I would entertain a motion from our city clerk to move into executive session.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to go into closed session for discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics: a specific proposal by a business entity where public discussion of the subject matter would jeopardize the location, retention, expansion, or upgrading of a business entity as permitted by KRS 61.810 subsection 1G.
So moved.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
he said it was me.
You know I don't know what I'm doing down here.
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.